hello everyone. This is Ray at Euro Football Star. We're here for our monthly Zoom meeting. We've got our special guest, Tim Slack, who's joined us online tonight. For those guys who've not joined us on one of our monthly Zoom meetings, we run these every first Friday of every month. Normally it's 7 p.m. Brisbane time, but just due to a couple of changes this month, we had to pull the meeting a little bit later. For those guys who've obviously missed the meeting, as you'll be aware now, you'll be watching this on a recording. Guys, if you need to disappear early before the end of the meeting, don't worry, it's fully recorded. We will share the link back to you. So a big welcome to my special guest, Tim. Tim, thank you for joining us. How are you?
You're welcome, Ray. I'm good, mate. I'm good, very good, thanks. Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying your football.
So, as you can probably tell, Tim's a bit like me. He's got one of them funny accents. He's definitely not from Australia. So, Tim, just for our listeners, and whereabouts are you from originally in the UK?
All right. I'm originally from the Manchester area, but I'm definitely not a Manchester. I'm not from the city centre because I'd be called a Mad Mancunian. I'm from Oldham, which Oldham is a little bit north. It used to be a nice suburb. But like a lot of places in Oldham, like a lot of places in England, it's gone a little bit down the tubes. But that's another story.
So you were growing up, obviously, in a football crazy city like myself, growing up in Manchester and Oldham.
Yes.
Can you just, for our listeners, just share a little bit about when you first started showing a love of football, how old you were, and when you started getting involved?
Wow. I started when I was a little kid, and my dad used to kick a ball around in the backyard with me at 3.5, 4 years of age, and that started the passion. So yeah, just love kicking the ball. I love riding my bike, and then I started to go and ride my bicycle and meet my friends. We play football on the park just across the road from us. At school, we had a very good school team. And really just started playing football from an early age, and really that was my passion. So and football became a lifeline for me.
It gave you an out.
Absolutely, yeah. And because I loved it so much, I clung to it, and it's took me a long way. You know, I mean, I haven't reached the dizzy heights of a David Beckham or a Lionel Messi or anything like that, but I've made a living from the game, and I'm happy. The big thing for me, Ray, is, and this is for everyone listening, is I got to follow my dream. So if you can follow your dream, and you can realise your dream, which was to play football professionally, albeit in a third world country in Asia, for me that was like a huge achievement.
Yeah. Now, for the guys, just to give a bit of background, I actually met Tim in one of our rooms when we were doing our professional player pathway meetings quite a few weeks ago now. And when I actually discovered a bit of Tim's background and what he'd done in the game and what he's done to date, it really impressed me. And I knew straight away, Tim, when I spoke to him, the knowledge that he's got, and also that he's not gone the conventional route, but he discovered the route through the passion to follow his football. So I'll get you to just talk a little bit about when you first started playing and it started to get serious for you, when you thought you had a chance of playing at a professional level. What age were you, Tim, when you started to think, actually, I could turn this into a career?
Well, I mean, I got the support from my family, which is a huge thing. My dad was a bit on the pushy side, but not pushy too much. But, you know, I was scoring goals for fun in the junior levels. So I was on my school team. I was always the top scorer, and then I played for my town team, which was Oldham boys. We played against Manchester boys, and at the time I didn't realise, but played against players like Roger Palmer, who was a bit of a legend at Oldham Athletic. He played for Oldham Athletic, but I think he played at City, played at Manchester City. And there were a few of the guys, and we played against these guys, and we always gave a good account of ourselves. And then I went from there. I got a trial at Oldham Athletic, and so I got the taste for it from being a young age, 9, 10, 11 years of age.
Brilliant. And at what age was it when you decided to maybe look at going overseas or looking for opportunities elsewhere?
Well, playing with the school, and then playing in some good clubs. I got I should have gone a lot earlier, Ray. I had an opportunity to go in my early 20s. I had an opportunity to go to Australia, but I love playing with my mates, and I couldn't pull away from that crowd. So sometimes that you've got to be careful that if you're playing with your mates and you're enjoying it, you got to be careful that that's not, you don't limit yourself. So you have to challenge yourself all the time. So I said to any of the boys listening is, don't settle for playing with your mates thinking this is it. If you want to play professional football, Ray's got this with Eurostar now. You've got it all set up for you, but you have to keep challenging yourself. So I got to the age of 26. I got a bad injury. I broke my ankle, and I was told by the doctor, you won't be able to play again. You struggle to run, and you'll walk with a bit of a limp. Anyway, I overcame that because again, you've got to have a lot of resilience. I overcame that, and I set off. It took me a couple of years, mind you, but I set off to play in Australia at the age of 28, and I'd never been to Australia, and I ended up. I had a stop off in Singapore, and never been to Singapore. I stopped off in Singapore. I had a hire car, and I was having a little bit of a holiday before I came into Australia. So I set off into Malaysia. Everything was brand new for me. It was unbelievable. I was so excited, and as they say, I really pumped for it. The vibe was great, and I used to pick up the local paper in Malaysia, and it was the dawning of a new era in Malaysian football. They got the Malaysian Cup, and they were hiring overseas players. So I got up to Terengganu, which is on the east coast of Malaysia, and I rang the FAM, Federation of Malaysia Football Association, and they asked me what I was doing. I said I was on holiday. I was on my way to Australia to play football in Australia, and they said which way. I said I was going down the west coast, and I wanted to know if there's any teams that might want a foreign player, if you like. So they said, well, there's a club called Malacca. You could go there, and so I went there. Long story sideways. I turned up at training session on a Wednesday night. I introduced myself to the coach. I said, "Is there any chance I could just, do a little bit of training with you guys?" And they said, "Yeah, you can." So I trained on the Wednesday night. I trained on the Thursday night. On Friday there was a light session because there was a game on Saturday. And I'm sat there with the boys on Friday night, and the team was picked, and I was picked to play. And I thought, hey, this is all right. And we're only playing against the Malaysian national team. That's all. So that's an easy game. That's a bit of a joke, actually. So we played against the Malaysian national team. We got beat 4-0. And the coach of the Malaysian national team was a guy called Trevor Hartley. And I must have done okay because they asked me to stay. Would I put back my trip to Australia, and would I stay for a couple of months and continue doing some training with the team, because it was pre-season. The Malaysian league hadn't started, and that was how I got a contract in Malaysia.
What year was that, Tim?
That was 89.
1989. Wow.
1989. And the coach, I mentioned to you, Ray, the coach was a guy, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. The coach was actually a guy called So Chinan. And up to a couple of years ago, he was still alive, and I never knew anything about So Chinan. And So Chinan is a legend of Malaysian football. In fact, I think he is one of the most capped players in the world. He'll be up there. There's not many other players who've got as many caps for representing their country. So he was a legend, and so to get the thumbs up from him, we want him in the team. He's our first import player. I felt over the moon.
What age was you in 1980?
29. 29.
Tim, how old was you?
29.
So you were saying that you felt like you should have probably took your opportunity a bit earlier when you had the opportunities.
Oh, absolutely, Ray. Absolutely. If there'd been something like what you've put together with Eurostar, if there'd been something like that, I mean, I should have gone it. I could have gone it in my early 20s, and or even as 17, 18, 19, because that's really where it's all at these days. I mean, you've got players, Bellingham and the likes. In fact, Chelsea had a young boy. He came on against Spurs yesterday, his first bit of a debut at 17. I mean, that's the trend now. So this is, for any of the boys in the program, the PPP at Eurostar, you've got to take the opportunity and go for it. If you get the opportunity, go for it while you're young.
That's one of the things that we were speaking about. We offer opportunities in every January for our players, boys and girls, to go across for trials. And then at the end of it, they get that scholarship opportunity and get to stay on a 2-year pro scholarship. We're very excited to announce, and it's fairly new, but we've just done a deal in France with PSG, and also we've just done a deal with Barcelona. Now, the difference with PSG and Barcelona is they have pre-academies for our players. So players who are coming across, if they're not quite ready to go into the top team or the top fold, they can train with their second division teams and to work their way through the development. So that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Tim, because a lot of our players who are online now will travel with us next January or next July to Europe or to the UK.
Yeah.
What would you say? A lot of families who sometimes sit on the fence and think, what would your advice be, Tim?
Well, I would say I met with you, a few weeks ago, and I came to watch the objective testing, and I sat in the room at the presentation. It's an absolute golden opportunity. If as a family, and a child, if you've got the dream to follow, and parents, if you've got that, you want, obviously, your child is the most important investment in your life. If there's an opportunity to do this, you have to do it. That's because in this, what Ray's put together, the doors are open for you. You've got to go through the doors. For me, and for a lot of lads my age, we had to knock on doors. We had to try and knock doors down because it's been so tough. But the way Ray set this up is you just go for it. And the thing is, you get to a place like PSG or Barcelona, and then you keep going. You enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. You have to be happy. Have some fun. Play with the passion. You'll absolutely, providing you don't get injured. And we can't sort of guarantee that you're not going to get injured, because you have to put your body on the line. You're going to have to put your body. You have to work hard, and you've got the opportunity. And the best case scenario is you're going to make a fantastic living from the game. Worst case scenario is you'll do like me. You'll have a couple of investment units, and you can retire and just what.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good. Now, Tim, once you finish playing your playing career, obviously, I want to just explain a little bit about to our players and families. You got involved in coaching, and can you just explain a little bit about what was like the highest level you coached at, and maybe a youth or a senior level? And I did have a look at your resume and was highly impressed with it. But if you could just maybe give our listeners a bit of a background on some of the places you've coached at over the years.
Yeah, so we'll do, Ray. So I always had the knowledge. Always had the yearning for the knowledge and wanted to learn. So when I got injured, I got injured often playing as a forward. You're getting kicked all over the place, and so my rehabilitation would be I would go on coaching courses, and I used to learn more on coaching courses than I did from my coach at my club, wherever that was, and so I got to know things. How to control the ball better, how to pass the ball faster. And so I started going into I started with Oldham Coaches Association as a volunteer coach, and I learned so much from the older coaches there. And I got opportunities then to coach with the Oldham Coaches Association, which led me then to coach. I coached at Bobby Charlton Soccer School. So I was at Bobby Charlton Soccer School the year after David Beckham had won it. So David Beckham came up to Hotwood Hall College, which is in the Manchester area, and he won like a skills test, a skills academy. over the course of a week, he was identified as the best player. And for being the best player and doing the skills, the best passer of the ball, the best dribble of the ball, all these different skills that we can set up for you, he was the best player. So that gave him a week's trial at Man United. And from there, the rest is, as he says, history. So between my trips, and then I went out to coach on the soccer schools at the soccer schools in America. So I went and coached at SMU University, which is in Dallas, Texas. I coached there. I came back and I went to coach for, like I said, Bobby Charlton's, which turned to Man United soccer schools. So I coached at Man United soccer schools. I then knocked on the door at Oldham Athletic, and I again knocking on the door, and I spoke to a coach there and asked if there was any vacancies in the academy. So he said, "Well, actually, we're looking for one of our junior coaches has left us. Would you be interested in coaching the under-9s, under-10s?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." So I had a season at Oldham Athletic in the academy there, which was fantastic. And one of my young players there was a young boy at the time called James Tarkowski. And James, if you might even know of him or heard of him, but he's Everton's captain, and he was at Oldham, a top little player, even at 9.5 years of age, a really, really good player. And so James made it, which was fantastic. And then I came to Australia. So the timeline's it gets a bit wobbly, but then I went, after I'd been in Australia, I went back to England and I got an opportunity at Blackburn Rovers. So I went to Blackburn Rovers as a coach at Blackburn Rovers, coaching young kids in from around the area. At that time, I set up my own little coaching school, which is called Pro Sport, or it was called Pro Sport. And I used to have kids coming through my little football coaching school, and they would be snapped up by City, Man United, and some of the lesser clubs at the time, Stockport, one thing or another. And so I had many, many kids going from my little soccer academy, which I turned into a junior football club as well. And they would go off to the local clubs, Man United, City, Everton. They go as far as Liverpool. We had a boy there called Ryan Hansen at the time, same age as James, and he was on a YD7, which Ray knows all about these. This was a contract at Oldham, and Liverpool came in. They really fancied him, and it was a bit of an illegal thing because things like this happen in football. It's not the end of the world, but they actually took him from Oldham for £25,000.
Wow.
Yeah, £25,000 all those years ago. So that Ryan, he never made it. But there's another story there. I'm not going to go into that story, but he didn't make it. But so many of the boys. There's a boy now actually who Ryan Rydell. So if you Google Ryan Rydell, his team Stockport County. Just had a couple of years, and they've won another one. They've won another champion. They've won another promotion. So Ryan, I used to play football with Ryan's dad, Steve Rydell. So coached at Blackburn, and they put me through some courses at Blackburn, which one of them was a talent identification coach. So I got to go on a course and got to learn how to identify talented players. So that was really good. Came to Australia again, carried on playing here, went into the coaching system here, coached the WA under 13s, under 14s. And as you know, Ray, there's always a national championship. So the best players from the age representative group, so that's the WA teams, used to be under 14s or under 13s, under 14s, under 15s. They go across to the championship, which at the time was Brisbane when I was in charge of the team. And we had a boy there called Chris Coyne. So Chris Coyne, if you Google Chris Coyne, he was a standout player for me, and the director coach at the time said, who have we got in our WA team, Tim, who you think's going to make it? I said, Chris Coyne will make it. Why is that? I said, he's big, he's strong, comes from a good, family, is very supportive, he's willing to work hard, he listens, He tries hard. I can play him in any position. If we want a goal, I put him up front. He'll score goals. Whereas if I wanted to put him in goals, he'd get in goals. He'd go in goals and he'd do a job. He just loved playing. So Chris made it. He played at Luton Town, and he was in the I think it was under 14s, in the under 15s. So what happens then at the end of the tournament? All the top players from the coaches, you put your best players forward. This is how they start to pool if you like, the players for the young Socceroos, and they start to put them then into this into like a funnel. So it's a funnel end of like a talented group. And so Chris was in one of the teams. He was selected, but the guy who the year above was Harry Cool. So Harry Cool was in the year above Chris Coyne. So so I've worked there, and I've worked at Football West. I've actually coached the coaches, and so indirectly that's for Football Federation Australia. I've coached many coaches in WA. But the level's not high enough, as you know, Ray. We only take them to a certain level, so without top coaches, better coaches mean better players. And that's why Eurostar and what you've got going is going to give the kids the best opportunity. They're exposed to the best coaches, the best sessions, and a group of other players that is going to bring them on.
Yeah, great. Now, guys, before we open up to questions, we're going to allow at least 10 players to ask questions of Tim. So what we're going to do is, if you drop a question in the chat box, I'll read the question out to Tim, and then Tim will try his best to answer. So, guys, if you want to ask a question, please feel free to drop it in the chat box, and I'll share the question to Tim. Now, Tim, one question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
And I had this wrote down, and you've already mentioned it, and I'm glad you mentioned it. So you spoke about talent identification at Blackburn Rovers, and they showed you how to test for certain things you were looking for in players. Can you explain to our families and players, what are some of the key things you look for when you're looking for certain players? Is it talent? Is it a willingness to develop into talent? What is it you were trained to look for at Blackburn Rovers?
There's so many facets to it, as you know, Ray. I mean, can the boy play on his right side with his right foot? Can he play with his left foot? Can he pass it with his right foot? Is he weak with his left foot? Has he got a good shot with his right foot? Can he shoot with his left foot? Can he take the ball with his back to goal and turn? Can he turn off his right side? Can he turn off his left side? Is he a good athlete? At that time, and it's still a little bit, I think, like this, especially in the Championship. Blackburn Rovers, the young boys that they were scouting in, they were giants. And this is not to put any of the younger, smaller boys in the programme, because look at Messi, for example. But there was 12, 13, 14 years of age, and they're already well over 6 foot. Such a athletic build. So you got young Branthwaite at Everton. He's a big guy. I mean, James Tarkowski's a big lad, but he towers over him. So this athleticism and this size is still in the English game because it's so intense. And then you've got the lad at I rate the lad at Tottenham, the centre back at Tottenham. He's so fast. What's he called? The Dutch guy. I can't remember. But anyway, so you've got all these attributes, all these skills, and you're not going to get these skills overnight, but you will start to develop the skills. Can you can you control it? First touch. What's your first touch like? Do you have to hold on to the ball? Do you lose the ball? Are you good in the air? Are you physically strong? Doesn't mean you have to be 6'4" to be physically strong. Look at Messi. Messi's only small, but he's very, very strong. Can you? I mean,
it's interesting. You say that, Tim. I've said it to a lot of families over the years, and you'd be amazed that when we're taking boys and girls across, whether they're 12, 13, 14, technically they're actually level pegging. They're not a million miles away. But it's amazed me that I've seen it time and time again. So we done a football tour last year to the UK. We took a group of players for trials. There was another set of families with another group that went with us. And it amazed me when I was speaking to some of the top academy coaches. We were at Leeds United at the time. And he said, we've had 4 players presented to us from Australia. And we would have signed them, but unfortunately we didn't sign them. And what they told me the reason why they didn't sign them, it blew me away, but I see it going on all the time, and you've just touched on it. They didn't sign them because they weren't fit enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Not because they weren't technically good enough, because they weren't fit enough. And we say it to our players, part of having the GPS trackers, part of doing your beep test, like your fitness levels are standard. You should have it. And if you don't, part of our program, we help the players get it. But can you imagine putting all that time and effort going to England, and then you get failed on fitness, not on technical ability?
Yeah, I can I understand that, Ray, and definitely I can relate to you, because the thing is here, because it's not our, sadly, it's not our culture, so we don't see the need to train every single day. We think, oh, we don't need to do that. But the thing is, when I say training, you know yourself, you don't have to go out and run and run, but you have to be out on a field, kicking a ball or dribbling the ball, find a wall, go and kick a ball against the wall every night. You've got to do it every single night. That will build your fitness up. And like Ray said, the more you're running around after a ball, the more you get comfortable with the ball. You know, there's fitness with a ball and fitness without a ball. But the thing is, there's no excuses in Australia. The climate here is absolutely fantastic. And I used to watch the football. Well, just to digress a tiny bit, I used to watch the rugby because I like rugby as well. And I used to watch England Rugby League against Australia, and Australia would batter England every year.
Yeah.
And I used to think, why is it? Because size-wise, the size, physical, the unit size, and everything, we're the same size. And I used to think, I know what it is. This is my opinion. The Aussies, that you train on top of the pitch, because you never really come across a waterlogged pitch here. So you're on the top of the pitch. So you can be so fleet-footed. You can be so fast. You can get your speed up to such a level and run and run and run. Whereas in England, as Ray and I know, it can. And it's last year. Apparently, it rained for 9 months.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to train on sodden pitches. So the stamina, okay, it's slightly different. But the thing is, there's no excuse. You can train every day, and you don't have to. Like I said, it's not a case of going and knocking yourself out to the point where but you have to build up this level of fitness. This level of fitness is for me, and probably Ray will agree, it's the easiest thing for a footballer to have a super high level of fitness. And the thing, if you look at Ange Postecoglou, all his teams have to run and run and run. That's how he's got some success himself as a coach. You have to have strong energy. If you haven't got strong energy, you can have the best skills in the world. You'll never get an opportunity to realize those skills.
Brilliant, Tim. We're starting to get some questions coming in.
That's great.
I'm gonna start shooting a few of them to you. So I'll ask the first one. And also for everyone who's online, guys, this always happens. People don't post questions, and then with the last 2 minutes to go, they start dropping questions in. So we've got about 15 to 20 minutes to go with the Zoom call. Please, please, please drop your questions in, guys, because if you don't, it'll be too late and your opportunity will be gone to get Tim to answer for you. So the first question we've got, and I love this one, and a little bit of a different slant, but I'm sure you can answer it, is from Jake Watson Roddy. What do scouts look for specifically when they're looking at goalkeepers and pro clubs in England? Can you give Jake maybe one or two of the key things that you believe they look for when we're looking at goalkeepers?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Jake, thanks for the question. Just by the way, there's no such thing as a silly question. Just ask any questions you want. I'm happy. I'm here. I'm happy to try and help you. So goalkeeping, you have to be agile. Okay. It helps if you've got a biggish frame, but you don't have to be. I look at De Gea. when he was at United. The guy is only a slight build. You have to be You have to be light on your feet and be able to move around. Agility is so important. So if you're a little bit, if you're on the flats of your feet and you think you can move around your goal on the flats of your feet, get onto your toes. Get on your toes as much as you can. Get yourself into a set position. So you're always got your hands around your chest towards your face, because you need your hands more than anything. If you get used to that, when you get to become a professional, you might not need to carry them so high, but automatically your hands will start to come up to where the ball's going to come to. So be light on your feet. Be thinking and trying to watch the game. As the goalkeeper, you have the best position on the field. You're right behind the player, so you can see everything from the word go. So if they're playing out from the back, set yourself. If the ball comes out on the right-hand side, start to move across to the side that the ball's coming down. So you move across to your left-hand side. If it goes across to the left, move across to your right. So always try and imagine where that ball might come to. And then basically you've got to be brave. So as a keeper, you have to be brave.
Brilliant. I love that one. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Tim. Thanks. Great question, Jake. Next question. This is another great one. So we've got Manolo Calvete. Now, Manolo's asked the question, he's going across to Europe next month for an opportunity with Juventus. And he wants, what is the best advice you could give him when he goes across to go and train over with Juventus?
Okay, well, Manolo, that's a great opportunity you've got. And I would say to you have to enjoy it. Just go enjoy it. It's going to be a bit, I don't know if you're going to, if mum or dad can go across with you, or you're going to go on your own, or you've got some family over there. But, you're going to get there and you're going to feel you will feel nervous. You might think, oh, it's a bit too much. Just enjoy it. That's the big thing I would say. Express yourself. Whatever you've been doing, here in Australia has obviously given you the opportunity to go over there. So just try and do what you've been doing here. Don't try and do anything too difficult. Try and play simple. If you're a forward, basically try and get your shots off. Doesn't matter where you are in the last third of the pitch. When you get a chance to shoot, be a bit selfish. Shoot. If you're in the midfield, can you get some forward passes? Can you create something? If you're in defence, try and stop or block the forwards coming past. And yeah, so have some fun, because at the end of the day, I'm sure Ray's going to agree with you. Football is about having fun. It's about having joy and loving it. If you love it, you're going to keep coming back. So you go to your Juventus, you'll have a couple of days where I'm not sure, you'll get in touch with mum and dad. Oh, I'm not sure if I can do this. You just keep going. You're going to have a couple of good days. You're going to have a day which is average, and then you'll have some fantastic days. So just learn what you can, enjoy it, and think this experience is going to take you to the next level.
Amazing. I love that. Now, we've got quite a few questions flying in here, so we'll try and get through these. You're going to be busy, Tim. Right. Now, our next question is from Cooper, and I love this one. And I might chime in on this one after Tim a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
But one of the questions is, what do scouts or coaches look for specifically in a right back or a left back?
Okay, well, I think now, Cooper, thanks for the question. Excuse me. I think if you're looking at let's look at Liverpool, for example. Look at Robertson, non-stop, up and down the pitch. Trent Alexander-Arnold, probably for me, better offensive, better attacking, that sometimes defensively, sometimes he might lose his positional sense because he's too forward thinking at times, but again gets forward. So every fullback, yes, as now your role is becoming more and more, if you like, a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for, Ray? It's harder than what it used to be. You've got more responsibility. You might get asked to come inside and be part of the midfield. You might be asked to be that wing back where you're up and down. So again, fitness, everything is all about fitness. So can you get up and down the line? And if you're up and down the line, you're going to be expected to put a good cross in. So work on your crosses. If you can do that.
I think what Tim's just saying there, Cooper, and I agree completely. I think one of the things that we've discovered with the professional player pathway in my background and Tim's background is that the fundamental basics are missed in Australia. And when we talk about fundamental basics, we're talking about the ability to have the fitness to just get up and down the pitch before we even talk about any of the technical aspects. So for me, if you're a right back and you want to really achieve high, good results in that position, firstly get your fitness going right. And once your fitness is there and you've got the foundation, you can then work on what's next. Right, next question, we're going to move on. Phoenix Thatcher. So Phoenix is a great one. Tim, he's been with us for 5 years working on the program.
Okay,
and he's a testament to hard work and perseverance. And Phoenix will admit, 5 years ago, he wasn't probably even in the top 50 percentile for his age group, but just through hard work and persistence, he's now off to the UK in January. And he signed a 2-year pro scholarship. So congratulations to Phoenix. Now,
congratulations.
Phoenix's question: how important is it at a young age to get exposure to men's and first team football? And is it better to get exposure earlier or later?
That's a good question, Phoenix. The thing is, if you're going to be pitched in with the older guys, yeah, I mean that's when you're potentially going to get some injuries. Okay, but the thing it'll teach you is to get out of the way. So yeah. if you feel or you see an adult player coming towards you, just step out of the way. You don't get involved with that sort of thing unless you're a centre back and you're 6'4" and you want to go toe to toe. But the thing is, your body's not going to be strong enough and set right to be able to take those kind of heavy challenges. So you got, again, fitness, sharpness. Try and skip out of the way of the challenges. If you're in defence, try and anticipate where the ball's going to go to. So you're quick, you can get round the forward. If you're in midfield, again, try to use your brains and get into a position. So you're not in combat. You don't want to be in combat as a young player or a youth player against the adults, because I've had many experiences and they'll kick you because they can't. They haven't got the skills anymore. Well, they might have the skills, but they haven't got the speed anymore. So they're going to try and kick you. So you have to be prepared to take a few kicks. If you don't like getting kicked, that's all right, because just step out of the way. You've got there's many more years that you've got to get physically strong. Then you can go toe to toe. So when you say would I encourage you to be playing again, it's what's his age, Ray?
He's 17, coming up to 17, 16 years of age. But just to let you know, Phoenix is a unit as well. He's already in a man's body.
You get step in there then, Phoenix, and just get a feel for it. Because the thing is, if you've got that physique, start to use it now. They won't like it. The older guys won't like it, but just be strong, man. Because the thing is, you're going to need it, and that could be the thing. If you have got a man's body now at 16, going towards 17, that could be a deal breaker. You could get into a club, especially in the lower leagues in England, because of your physical attributes. So use those attributes.
Brilliant question, Phoenix. Now, next one is from Keach. This is a great one.
Yeah.
Is getting into an academy in Australia the best option to try and make it as a pro, or is it better to head overseas?
Well, personally, because of my knowledge and my experience, and I'm sure you agree, Ray, is if you've got the opportunity to go overseas because you'll be exposed to a higher level of player that you're up against, a different environment, and it's really going to challenge you. That's not to say that coming back here, you go there and you don't quite make it in the UK, well, specifically England, you don't make it in England, that you come back here with that knowledge that you've got from England. Well, probably you walk into an academy here, and you walk into an A-League academy. Having said that, some of the A-League academies are not very good. Well, yeah, that's my view. Yeah.
Yeah, now, great question. I think I'll chime in on this one, guys. So this is what we've worked out over the years and with our scholarship opportunities to the UK. And we look at it this way. If you stay in Australia, best case scenario, you might go and play A-League or W League. if you don't make A League or W League, you're going to play community-based football in Australia, and that's where you'll end up. If you go over to the UK, the best case scenario, you'll go and play Premier League. The worst case scenario, after spending 2 years with some of the best coaches and some of the best players, in my opinion, you'll come back to Australia and walk into an A League team like that. That's my
Correct.
opinion. And that's exactly what Tim's saying. And that's
Yeah.
why we know for a fact the opportunity is better to go across. Great question, Keach.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well done.
next one is from Ella. Is 10 years of age a good age to start focusing on becoming a professional? Or if not, when do you think is a good age to start, Tim?
I would say, Ella, just enjoy your football. You don't, I mean, yeah, have the dream, but having a dream might not be your dream. Your dream, you might set your dream a bit too hard for you. If the dream wants you to be a professional footballer, fantastic. But if the dream is to play football at a good level, don't be too high with your expectations too soon, because you might get put off a little bit. I would just say first and foremost, enjoy it. Practice as much as you can. Always have fun in your training sessions. Always listen to your coach, even though sometimes your coach might not. You might be in front of him and you might think he or she doesn't know a great deal, but just always try to follow, because they will know something. Yeah, you like to think so. So just enjoy playing the game. Practice on your own, because isolation practice is very, very good, because if you're not getting exposed to enough here in Australia anyway, you might have 2 sessions a week and a game on. That's not enough. The kids at Barcelona are playing every day, but that's another story. It's a different setup. So I would say, just have the dream to play football at the highest level, and that should get you to become a professional player.
Brilliant. Great question. All right, guys, we've got probably 2 or 3 more questions before Tim needs to go. So I'm just going to try and roll these off. So the next one is from Alex Alves. What do coaches look for in the pro game in the UK or Europe in training? So what are some of the things they're looking for as a player from you that they expect you to put in to make it on the starting lineup, or to make it in the starting lineup? I love this question. This is a great one.
What they're looking for, Alex, is that are you coachable? So yes, you get asked to do a certain job. Will you go and do it, or will you look at the coach as though the coach is talking something a bit daft? If the coach asks you to go and do something on the pitch, just go and have a go, because he's seen something in you that you might not have even had an idea that you can do. So, for example, I'll give you that example. There's so many. But going back to the boy Chris Coyne, who played so many games in ball and became captain of Luton Town. Came back, played for Perth Glory. I would ask James. I would ask Chris to play in any position, and he'd go and do it. And the reason why that's going to be good for you is because if you're a defender and you're asked to go and play as a forward, and it's strange to you, you think, oh, what's this all about? I can't do this. But just go up there, see what you can do, and learn from the fact that you're in a different position. And then when you come back into the position that you want to eventually play in, you've learned a bit. You've learned what that player expects. What kind of pass does that player in the forward line? What does he want? Because you've been up there. You've had a little bit of a taste of it. If you have to play as a winger, you've never played as a winger before, have a run up and down. Just think of the fundamentals, whichever position you're in. Forwards have to score goals, so get your shots off. Midfield players have to create. Lots of the time, we want to see a pass go forward. Can you get the pass forward? Defender, block. So learn from each position. So always be open-minded as a player, because if you're open-minded, you're going to learn. And you don't have it's not a big window. Ray knows this. You might get 6, 7, 8, 9 years where you're in your prime, and then it's gone. So you've got to be like sponges. Learn as much as you can.
Amazing question. Next one, I love this one. This is from Lou, and this is one of the mums of one of the players. So our child plays community football currently.
Yeah.
with his friends. Should we start to move him into Metro football? He's 10 years of age, nearly 11. He's playing with his mates currently. But do you think it's time for him to move up and onwards?
I would say this, Lou. If the coach in the community is a better coach, has more knowledge, and he's getting more from your child, leave him where he is. He can go into clubland, and I've seen it here, and then he doesn't get coached anymore because it's a volunteer coach who's at the club, or it could be a mum or a dad, but they've got no knowledge. And then what happens? It's all about winning, and it's not all. And that's the problem in Australia. If your team, you can be any of the questions tonight. As a young player, it's not all about winning. It's all about learning and developing. You have to develop. And again, this is why what Ray's put together with Eurostar is this is the program to develop you. You have to develop, and you're only going to be developed if you're in front of coaches who know what they're talking about and they can put coaching sessions on where you can learn. It's not about winning. So you have to think, Lou, do I take him into Metro and then his team wins they win every game, they finish champions, he's learnt nothing.
Yeah. Great answer that one, Tim, and I'll follow on that one. So
yeah,
we've done it in the past. We've actually taken players out of the NPL system, dropped them back into community football because we were aware of a stronger coach at community football. But what we did do, because of the way our program works and we can track the players' hours, we just made sure that the additional hours were added in. And one of the other final points that Tim made there, guys, and it's so important what Tim's just said, that you take his advice, is actually looking at what is actually winning. Now, if you're 12 years of age, winning actually means, are you just developing a certain part of your game? And that's what winning is. Winning shouldn't mean at 12 winning 6-0 every week, because that's for when you're a senior. And you've got to be so development focused. And that's why we've built the objectives into the football plan from the match analysis. So for me, I get excited when I see a player who's on 52% pass completion, and the next week he only gets 50%. But then a week later, he cracks 60%. And then we start to see the steady increase of the pass completion. So that's success. That's what winning looks like to me. And I think Tim's on the same page, guys,
absolutely,
as well.
Ray. Absolutely. It's all about development. It's, as young players, you have to learn as much of the game as you can while you're young. So, you go and practice, whether if you're in the team, that's great. Practice with your teammates, learn what your teammates can do for you, what you can do for your teammates, but go and practice yourself. Go and juggle the ball. How many times can you keep a ball up? You can keep a ball up with 100 times on different parts of your body, not just on your right foot. We see kids who can do hundreds on one foot. Well, can you do 50 on your right foot, 50 on your left foot, 50 on your right knee, 50 on, and can you do on your chest, and can you do on your head? So practice, learn. It's all about your development. And this is why Eurostars, what Ray's got together is you cannot fail.
Brilliant. Now we are against time, guys. We've still got about 7 or 8 more questions. But I'm gonna just do one more, and I've just had a quick read through, and I think this one's a really good one. That we probably need to mention. So when you're a player, obviously you have to do more than just what you're doing in clubland. And this is something that we stress to players all the time, Tim, that it's probably only 30-40% of what you do in club is going to be a deciding factor if you're going to make it. Now, the question we got from one of the players is, what's the most important thing you could give players advice on what they should be practicing to improve or learn whilst they're in an academy but doing stuff in their own time? And I think this is a great question.
Well, I mean, you could do a lot worse than find a wall. Like I said, if you're on your own, just keep kicking the ball against the wall. Okay? Can you control it? One touch, kick it back. Set some little markers on the wall. And if it's a brick wall, so you've got lines, can you keep kicking the ball below a certain line? Okay, can you do it with one touch? Can you play it with two touch? So we used to play, and I know it happens here, like Wally. You play Wally. Now, if you've got other kids, you can play Wally with other kids. Okay, so you can play it on your own. So keep practicing against the wall. Now, if there's two of you, you play head tennis. So you set up a little head tennis. You put markers down. It might be a 10-meter square, and you put your. Now you don't have to have a proper net or anything like. It don't have to be all swish. You can just put bags down. You've got to get it over the ball comes across from your opponent, one bounce. That's all you get, one bounce. So you've got to receive the ball, control the ball, get it back over the net. Okay, and you have to do that. If you've got a proper full-size goal, you can use a full-size goal. So you have to get the ball over there, and you just practice. It's all touches on the ball. The best players in the world, the Lionel Messis and the Ronaldos and the David Beckham, they were practicing all the time. You cannot practice enough. And we don't mean running. Yeah, but touches on the ball. You need more touches on the ball.
Brilliant. Now we're about to wrap up, guys. So I'm just going to say a big, huge thank you to Tim. And I think for some of the families who've just joined us for the first time in our monthly Zoom meeting, you're going to get some real and honest answers from our experts when we bring them online. We've had the ex-Matildas coach, ex-Manchester United players. We're very lucky to have Tim tonight, who's coached and played all around the world. So a big thank you, Tim, from me and the families for joining us and giving us your time.
You're welcome, Ray. Anytime, I'm happy to help. You know, that's that. I like to give back. It's all about sharing, giving back. I want to see the next player that's part of Ray's Eurostars, and what we're trying to do is where's the next James Tarkowski for me to watch on an English Premier? That's what I'm looking for. Who's it going to be? It's going to be one of you.
Now, we're very excited as well, families and players. We are going to be sending communication out next week about our trials in January next year in the UK. And also we've got trials in Paris and also in Spain in July next year. So those players who are interested in joining us for those trial opportunities, and again, as part of the program, you're not going to pay 10 or 12 or $15,000 for these opportunities. You literally pay your own travel across, and we do the rest for you. And you get a realistic opportunity, and we're going to prepare you and train you as we go across. So, guys, a big thank you for joining us. I know it was late for a lot of you tonight. If you did miss it tonight, don't stress. Obviously, you'll be watching this back on a recording. And Tim will also give this a bit of a share back to you as well. And yeah, again, a big thank you for me and all the families, and have a great weekend.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend, Ray, and all the players, all the families. Keep enjoying your football. Have a great weekend, and just keep enjoying it. It's a beautiful game.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.